You got cut off on that last video right before the answer, so let me just explain that last step again. So g of f means g of f of x. So you keep it in the same order and just do nested parentheses. Then we took f of x out and replaced it with what it's equal to, x squared plus 9. So this means go into g, wherever you see an x, replace it with x squared plus 9. So that turned into x squared plus 9 minus 7, which simplifies like terms to x squared plus 2. So if you want to try one, this is a really good one. About the same hardness as the one on the test. I would say both of these are good ones to practice for the final, because I know the final has a FOIL in it and this one does have a FOIL. So if you want to turn off the video and try it on your own first, it'd be a good one to practice on. Okay, so first they want us to find f of g, which remember is f of g of x. So keep it in the same order. We're going to take out g of x and replace it with what it's equal to. So keep the f there. G of x is x plus 2. So we just replace that with what it is. Now we know what to do. It says go into f. Everywhere you see an x, replace it with x plus 2. So there happens to be two x's. So both of those x's get replaced with x plus 2. So it's going to look like this. 3 parentheses, because we're taking the x out and putting x plus 2 in, and there's still going to be that squared there. And then minus 2, and again we're putting in a quantity, so we need parentheses, x plus 2. So if it helps you to write this up here so you can see, I just don't have much room. So 3 parentheses x plus 2 squared minus 2 parentheses x plus 2, and then plus 1 at the end. So you can see this one has a little bit more work than some of them. So this we need to write twice, because remember it's a FOIL because there's two terms squared. So you'd write it as 3 x plus 2 x plus 2. We can go ahead and distribute this. Negative 2x, negative 4, and then the plus 1. Okay, so when you have a problem like this, it's easier to FOIL first, then distribute the 3. So that's what I'm going to do there. So this turns into 3, and then from FOILing we get x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. And then we have minus 2x minus 4 plus 1. So that is my new problem. Now once I distribute the 3, then I'll be able to combine like terms. So 3x, and we could combine like terms, but I see there's like ones out here anyway, so I'm just going to start distributing now. So 3x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 12. So 3x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 12 minus 2x minus 4, and that's from this, and then the plus 1 from the end. So now we can finally get to the answer. So there's nothing to combine with the 3x squared. That saves. Here we have 12 minus 2, which would be plus 10x. So 12x minus 2x. So let's just cross those out after we're done. So 12 minus 2 is 10x, and then our numbers are going to be 12 minus 4, 8, plus 1, 9. Or you could say negative 3 plus 12. Either way, so 8 plus 1, 9, and there's my answer. So that one took a little bit of work. I think this one's probably closer to the test, but I think you should be able to do either one. Okay, so now let's do the second one, which is g of f of x. So that's g of f of x, parenthesis, parenthesis. So we take the f of x out and replace it with what it's equal to. F of x is 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. So now it kind of falls in my lap. Oh, you want me to go into g, and wherever I see an x, replace it with this. So here's g. So I'm going to take out that x and replace it with 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. So what results? 3x squared minus 2x plus 1, and then I have the plus 2 after it. So that one was much easier, right? Usually one's hard and one's easy. Minus 2x, and then it'll be plus 3. So those are the two best ones to study for the test, the final exam. And I do have one of those on the final. Okay, let's move on to page 3. So these are a little bit easier than the ones we did, so I'm not going to have you highlight them, but they are good ones because they're ones that you'll see in the next class. I'm going to make it bigger now that we don't have problems with so much work on them. So same thing, f of g of x, g of f of x. I put a lot of examples on because in Connect they had all different kinds of ones. So I just wanted to make sure I had one of every example so you had it to follow on your homework. So that's what this is, f of g of x. So now I'm going to take g of x out, and in its place I'm going to put what it's equal to, x minus 1. So this means go into f, anywhere you see an x, replace it with x minus 1. And guess what? I can't do anything else. That's it. Because I can't take the absolute value of each one because of that minus sign. So that's my answer. See? That's why I didn't put that one on the test. A little bit too easy. So this one is g of f of x. Take f of x out. Plug in what it's equal to. So this is going to be g of absolute value x. So that says go into g. Anywhere you see an x, replace it with absolute value of x. So once again, not much we can do after that. We get this. And I don't know what the absolute value of x is, so I'm not showing you this. So absolute value of x minus 1. This one, inside the absolute value, you had x minus 1, and neither one can be simplified. So if you do this step by step, they're pretty easy, but if you try to do them without showing the steps, they're very, I don't know, I don't want to say complicated, but it gets confusing. So that's why I always write all 3 steps to help me through. Okay, let's do the same thing with 6. So they want f of g of x first. And I'm going to take out the g of x and replace it with what it is. So look what g of x is. It's the square root of x minus 4. So this says go into f. Wherever you see an x, and I see 2 of them, you replace it with square root x minus 4. Square root x minus 4. Write everything else the same way. So this is going to turn into square root x minus 4, but then I need to square it, plus 2. In place of the x, put in square root x minus 4, and then minus 8. So we need to evaluate this. So do you remember from chapter 6 that those just undo each other? So we get x minus 4. Nothing I can do there, so I just keep that the same, plus 2 square root x minus 4, and then minus 8. So not a whole lot I can do there. So this came out, this had to stay, then I have the minus 8. Only thing I can do is combine those like terms, nothing else. I can't do anything here. So my final answer is going to be x plus 2 square root x minus 4, and then this will be minus 12. And that's the only thing I can do. So those are the only like terms. Nothing else can be simplified because this has a minus underneath. So that's an interesting little problem, isn't it? Kind of relates back to chapter 6 and combines it with this chapter. Okay, one more on this section, and then the rest of the 8.1 is fun stuff. So this is the last of the boring stuff. Okay, so we're doing g of f of x. So this means, I'm trying to keep everything in there. So this means take out f of x, and in its place, write down what it is. It's x squared plus 2x minus 8. So you always keep the outer function there, and you replace the inner, because we always do innermost parentheses first, with what it's equivalent to. So this says go into g. Wherever you see an x, and I only see one, replace it with all that junk. X squared plus 2x minus 8. So that's going to look like the absolute, or the square root doesn't go away. It's just going to have a bunch of stuff under it now. It's going to have x squared plus 2x minus 8 minus 4, which is square root of x squared plus 2x minus 12. So we put that in place of x, and we still had the minus 4 there, still had the radical. We have some like terms. Factors of 12 that differ by 2. 6 and 2, nope. 3 and 4, nope. 1 and 12, nope. So that means it doesn't factor. So that's our answer. Nothing we can do there. We can't take a square root of each separate part because of the plus and the minus. Okay, so now we're going to evaluate these functions, and like I said, this is so much easier. So we're actually plugging values in for x instead of working with all the x's. So I think you'll find this a lot easier, hopefully. So this, remember, is f of 4 plus g of 4. So we go into f, and everywhere we see a 4 or x, we replace it with 4. So 4 squared plus 9. I always like to tell everybody to put parentheses too. Plus, then we go into g, and every x we replace with 4. 4 squared plus 2 times 4 minus 8. And that gives us 16 plus 9 plus 16 plus 8 minus 8. So those cancel. 32 and 9, 41. And I see we only have 15 seconds left, so I'll pick up from there on the next video.